Hey, this is Seagrove, and today I want to talk to you about 3 parts of getting good. Number 1, what's holding you back from getting good? Number 2, what's it mean to be good? And number 3, how do you get good? So first, what's holding you back from getting good? The 3 things I see really holding people back from getting good are attitude, resources, and drive. So in terms of attitude, maybe your attitude is, I just want to have fun, and that's fine, but you're probably not watching this video. The big problem with attitude is people who think that they are already good, or they think they're better than they are. And to be true, this is in me, this is in a lot of us, but if it becomes a defining part of your approach to the game, that is a serious problem. You'll notice people who are like this tend to say things like, oh, I keep losing to bad luck. And they'll tell you all these stories about how they had bad luck, or the judge call, or the prizes, or the top decks. And those are things I'm guilty of. But if that's defining the way you approach the game, that is a huge detriment to your chance of improving. So make sure you have an attitude that is humble and willing to learn and wanting to learn. The second thing is resources. So the 2 big resources are time and money. Do you have enough time to practice? A lot of us will say, oh, I'm too busy, I don't have enough time. But the truth is, everyone has time, almost everyone. And you're probably thinking, oh, I'm the one person who doesn't, but you're not. You're watching this YouTube video, you have time. So what are you doing with your time? Maybe you're watching Netflix with your time. We all have different amounts of extra time, but what are you putting yours in? Are you watching Netflix? Are you reading? Are you studying? It depends on what you want to be good at. Are you studying the game, or are you watching Netflix, or whatever you're doing? Whatever it is that you choose to spend your time on, that's fine. But if getting good at this game is a priority for you, you need to act as if it is a priority for you in how you spend your spare time. So the other thing is money, and money is super good. It can get you coaching, it can get you sub to some really good article sites and stuff like that. I was sub to an article site, a tree fell in my house. Now I'm not sub to an article site, and that's just the way it is. You have to find the way to make money work for you. You have to find a way to make that money if you want to use it as a resource to improve. Maybe you can mow a lawn. Maybe you can just do some work wherever. It's not hard to find like odd jobs to do in order to make a little bit of money. But you have to you have to decide, is this a priority for me? Is it something that I want to put time and money into improving? And if the answer is yes, you need to be looking for ways to do that. So the other thing is drive. A lot of people don't have the drive. Everyone wants to be good, but almost no one is willing to put in the time to get good. It's not easy to get good. Being good is awesome. It's glamorous. It's exciting. It's fun. Getting good, boring. You have to practice, and you're thinking, oh, practicing is fun. Yeah, it is. When you're playing your rogue pocket deck that's not going to do anything against your friend's rogue pocket deck that's not going to do anything. That's what I called testing for a really long time. That's how my testing was. We were playing, my Sol Galeo versus your whatever dumb deck you're playing. Like, if you really are testing and practicing to improve, you're playing the best decks against each other to see what actually wins, how to play the matchups that matter, things like that. Testing is not glamorous. It's not fun. Practicing, studying, watching videos, doing match reviews, watching people stream isn't always fun, but 2 of the best players in the world, Pablo Mesa and Azul, stream. You can go watch them play the game and interact with them. It's crazy. We have that resource available to us, but doing these things to improve, the process of getting good is not glamorous, and people don't want to do that. They just want the glamour of being good, or they just want the fun of being good without the work. And without sweat, there's never improvement. So you have to put in the work if you want to get better. I mean, obviously you can't get better just by playing for fun, and you will over time. It's just going to take forever, and you're going to plateau eventually unless you start focusing your learning. So that's what's keeping us from getting good. Now, what does it mean to be good. So when you sit down across the table from someone, what separates you from them? First of all, luck. Did you get a bad matchup? Did Tom give you a bad matchup? Did you draw poorly? You know, that's luck. You can't control that. I mean, you can cheat. You should not be cheating, obviously. So that's the only way you can really control it. I've written about making your own luck, but that's not really luck. It's thinning your deck properly, sequencing properly, things like that. But there's actually luck you can't control, so there's no point in talking more about that. But there are things you can control: your deck choice, your list, being prepared for the tournament, and in-game skill. And I'm going to talk about each of those, and then I'll sort of at the end explain more what you need to be focusing on. Or as I go, I'll explain what you need to be focusing on. So first, deck choice. Don't play your Sol Galileo. Don't play your Xerneas Break. Like, I got 2 top 8s at the League Cups I went to playing those, and if I had played better decks, I could have done much better. That's my fault for not going to the better decks because I want to play for fun. That's my fault that I got just top 8 quarters that finishes this quarter. That's on me. So pick a deck that is consistent. People say play what you know. I know Xerneas Break. I know Sol Galeo, so shouldn't I be playing those? No. You should be playing the best deck that you know. And if you don't know a tier 1 or a tier 2 deck, you need to put the time in to learn a tier 1 or tier 2 deck. So in terms of deck choice, play what you know. But make sure what you know is a good deck. Make sure you know at least one good deck and play that. Play the best deck that you know. For deck list, a lot of newer players tend to over-tech. And this is something I'm super guilty of. Like, oh, I'm going to put in the Tina promo and this water attacker and this other attacker for this matchup. And then I'm going to play one of those 3 and I'm going to lose my other matchups because my deck's not running well. So don't over-tech, play a consistent list. A lot of people, as they want to play like the right tech and everything like that, and just like deck choice and deck list, as you get better, you can start doing things like playing decks you don't know as well or teching. But if you look at some of the best players, they know what's going to be at the tournament because people give them that information because they're good players. And maybe that's bad. I think that's kind of weird, but that's the way it is. So if you aren't at that level where you know exactly what people are playing, you don't need to be teching. You just need to make a consistent deck that runs smoothly. If you are a really good player, like you'll see Sam Chen the morning of or the night before picking up a deck and playing it for the first time and then taking it to the tournament and doing super well with it, you aren't Sam Chen. Don't do that. Don't try that. You know, if you are at that level of skill, okay, yeah, there are probably 50 people who could do that super, super well. If you're not one of those people, just, again, play what you know, play a consistent deck, play a top tier deck, and play a consistent list. And all that stuff is stuff like the cute aspects there is stuff you need to worry about once your in-game skill is way higher. But for now, just play consistent decks that are high tier that you know with a consistent list. And that's it. The other thing, another aspect of what it means to be good is being prepared for a tournament. And there's a couple parts to this. Number one, know your deck, know the matchups. That's so important. If you don't know the matchups, then you don't really know your deck. And if you don't know your deck, you can't take that to a tournament. You have to learn your deck in and out, including its matchups, at least against maybe the 5 most common decks that you're going to see. You really need to know matchups. And you should have played at least a couple games with some of the lesser played decks. Okay, then the very last thing, and the thing that you should be focusing on in terms of okay, then the other piece of being prepared for a tournament is knowing your body and preparing your body and mind for the tournament. So when I went to the only states I ever got to go to before they were discontinued, I did not get enough sleep. I ate a really heavy lunch. I drank soda, and I didn't drink enough water. And those are things now that I know how my body works. I know how to do all those things properly to maximize my ability to play the game. But I got like 5 hours of sleep. I'm feeling okay in the morning. Win round one, win round two, win round three, win round four, and I just have to win one of the next 3 rounds. And after round four, it hit me because we had gotten lunch. I overate, and I hadn't gotten enough sleep. I wasn't drinking enough water, and I drank soda, which gave me some energy, and then I crashed. And then I had a really grueling round four and a really grueling round five, which I ended up tying round five. But a tie didn't really help either of us unless we tied all the next three. So it was just like, okay, I'm just super tired. And I told my friend after round five, like, dude, I just want to go home. And I was 4-0-1. I was just so exhausted. But now I know how my body works, how my mind works, and you need to learn your body and mind. And that takes some time. It took me maybe 4 or 5 tournaments of really focusing on it to learn how to optimize my mind and my body to play best in the tournament. But once you do that, you've put in the time, and the reward is so worth it, and you don't have to do it again, at least for many, many years. Your body probably isn't going to change significantly, and you can keep doing the same things to keep yourself awake and alert and playing at your peak. Maybe you have, maybe it's a level of comfort for you. Maybe tiredness isn't the thing, but you need the right, like, you have a lucky thing that you always do, or a ritual that you always do that keeps your mind ready and sharp. Maybe you eat a certain food or whatever it is. You need to learn your body and what keeps you alert, awake, and able and playing at your peak performance. And then the last thing I wanted to talk about is, in terms of getting good, is the last thing I want to talk about in terms of what makes you good, what separates you and your opponent, is in-game skill. And this is what you should be focusing on the most. Absolutely the most. You should be focusing on in-game skill. And there are so many different aspects to it, but you can win matchups that are bad. You can win despite drawing worse than your opponent by outplaying them. And this is something that everyone can get a little bit better at. Nobody plays perfectly. Even Premawat, even Klaczynski didn't play perfectly. And they've mentioned things like that before, like, oh, I ultra balled the wrong thing away, or I didn't sequence properly, or whatever. Everyone can play better. That's period. Everyone can get better. So you need to be focusing on, how can I improve? How can I make myself a better player? And it's those things I was talking about: watching, learning, asking questions, practicing, learning scenarios. It just takes time and experience to get better at the game. And it's not fun. It's not glamorous. It takes a lot. Now, putting it all together, how do you actually get better? And I'm mainly talking about playing in-game skill. There's coaching. There are players who coach. Finnegan Lynch, Brad Curcio, Pablo Mesa, Rahul Reddy, all those guys are going to be coaching, and so you can talk to them about, how much you can work out a price with them, etc. And then you can play with them, and they'll tell you, you're doing this wrong, you're doing this right. Focus on learning how to do this. They'll play with you. They'll show you the ropes. Definitely, if you have money, I really, really suggest getting coached. If you can't find a rate that's good, then go to someone who's just a little bit better than you and say, can you coach me? And they can show you what they know, and then for cheaper, and then you can go to someone who's a little bit better and a little bit better, and you can move up that way. I really think it's better to just go straight to the better players, though, and ask them, to coach you. So besides coaching, you can watch streams. Like I said earlier, Pablo and Azul both stream, and they're two of the best players in the world. So just go watch their streams and learn a ton from watching them. Then the third thing, I think, is YouTube. There are a lot of really good YouTubers out there who can help you improve. And then the last way is article sites. And articles, you have to pay for a lot of them, but the Charizard Lounge is free. I write for Flipside Gaming. I do mostly rogue decks and stuff like that, but there are people who are doing more standard and competitive stuff like that. So check out Flipside Gaming. A lot of places do free stuff, but then they're typically not as high quality because they're not paying their writers as much because they don't have that paywall. But The big paywall sites are 6 Prizes, Someone's PC, Cutter Tap, 60 Cards, and Poke Beach. So if you want to subscribe to one of those, all of those have information that are very helpful. They have different prices. You need to look into that and just see what's affordable for you. Ask around, ask people what they think is best. But definitely subbing to those sites is a really good way to learn. And I'm sure you could message some of the authors if you are subbed to the site. And a lot of them would be willing to talk to you if you're subbed to the site. So yeah, just that's again resources that you have to put up, but it's super worth it. If you talk to the best players in the world, I guarantee you most of them are subbed to most of the sites, or at least one of the sites. And there's a reason for that. It's really good. Even if you're better than the player, you can learn from people you're better than. And also you can learn about the meta just by reading these articles. So definitely check those out. I know this has been a lot, but hopefully it's going to help you guys understand what your priorities are and how to improve if that's the goal for you. Thanks for watching.